Welcome to Big Blend Radio, where we celebrate variety and how it adds spice to quality of life. Welcome, everyone. Very excited to have Matthew Bissonnette on the show. He is a writer and the director of the movie that is out today, September 26th. It is called Death of a Ladies' Man. It is out on VOD. It's been out for a few years, but excited to have it out where we can watch it in our homes. And yes, Leonard Cohen is definitely part of this film. So welcome, Matthew. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. So should we just talk about Leonard Cohen? Because absolutely, I have to say, I love that you used his music in a couple of your other films as well, because I think for those who may not know his music, it's a way to keep it alive and for them to see, kind of have that visual put to his words.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm from Montreal, so I grew up, totally aware of Leonard Cohen. My mom played the music in the house, and I'm a big fan. More than a fan, I really appreciate, his kind of work as a songwriter, a poet, and sort of his perspective and, sense of humor and the kind of things he was interested in. And in the movie, when I started thinking about the film, there's sort of things I was interested in, relationships between a father and a son, father and a daughter, and, addiction, and more principally sort of the difference between desire and reality, and how those things kind of knock up against each other, sometimes in a good way, sometimes, in not such a great way. And the things that Leonard Cohen is sort of thinking about in his music seem to be what I was thinking about in the script. And, the thing I love about cinema and movies is that you can bring in songs, and that you can bring in dance, and you can have all these kind of, beautiful other things that you can add to your film. So it just kind of grew from there. And the more we kind of talked about it and sort of conceived of the movie, we're like, oh yeah, let's just have more Cohen stuff in and really, take advantage of that, the beautiful art he's created, and see if, and let it be part of our film.
And also just even that there is writing is part of it. When you think about your main character and, that he is a professor and then is also a writer. And I think that kind of ties in really well too.
Yeah. Obviously we're kind of interested in, Leonard Cohen's a great writer in the literary sort of, aspect of things. And writing is really a way of kind of understanding your life. You know what I mean? That's kind of why people write. They're trying to figure out, what the hell's going on here? Who am I? What's this world around me? How do I relate to all these other people? And I think that's what we're all doing. That's everyone morning with those questions. And when you're writing, you're just learning to think, and you're learning to understand around you. And, our character, like many characters, that's what he's learning. He's trying to understand what the hell is going on in his life, and what is his relationship to all these people that he loves, and how that all can be understood.
And Gabriel Byrne, I mean, he's like perfect. He's just like, he's so perfect for this role. It's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, Gabriel's, I was just speaking with him earlier today, and it really is, my feeling is it's a performance of a lifetime for him.
Yeah.
I just think, listen, he's been in so many amazing films, but I just think what he sort of was able to tap into in this movie, I think, was really something quite special. And I remember, I met with him 2 or 3 years before we made the movie. We sat down and had lunch in New York, and he had read the script, and we talked for, 2 or 3, maybe 4 hours about the script a bit, but also just a lot about life, about, being a father, being a son, there's no secret, struggles. I'm sober, Gabriel's sober, not struggles, but just, basically the journey of, whatever, confronting addiction, kind of working through that kind of process in your life, and just all kinds of aspects of life. And he just brought such a kind of rich understanding to the character that when we were on set for the first, shot, and he sort of stepped out, it was just like he had understood the character so much better than I had. Which is always such a kind of joyful surprise as a director. And he's just such a kind of sensitive and talented actor and artist that our sort of job was just kind of turn on the camera and just let it happen.
To me, it just was, it's kind of like a coming of age story in reverse. Because coming of age, you're always like, okay, I'm into this, and then things happen along the way. And then sometimes we forget what our goal was, and then things happen, and then there's this midlife life, right? And it's like, oh, wait, I got to go backwards to go forwards. You know what I mean? And I think even when we talk about sobriety, which I think, the world is shifting to become more sober, actually, when we look at and when I look at all of the stories I hear of that, it's really about grasping life. And I think that's really Death of a Ladies' Man is about grasping life, you
Yeah,
know?
I think that's a kind of very, very smart observation. A lot of, at least the way I think about sobriety, is basically getting used to and coming to terms with reality. Essentially, when you're getting drunk or high, what you're doing is distancing yourself from reality. And this film, even though it has all these kind of surreal moments in it, its real sort of interest is, what's the reality of this person's life? And are they able to accept that? And just as a person, as a human being, that's sort of been my experience of life, is like, can you uh, come to terms with, or get comfortable enough with reality to kind of be there and be with it. And I think that's, at least has been good for me. I don't know about other people. I can't really think that, but that's my experience has been that.
Yeah.
So and when you make a piece of art, you're sort of going, what's been my experience in life? How can I kind of maybe express that to another person that might be interesting or make sense to them? And that's
Mm.
what we're trying to do in the film.
Oh, it's beautiful and funny and dark. Definitely got the dark, but you can't have, dark without light. And Leonard Cohen talks about that in some of his music, right? He's
Yeah.
always been about that, that crack is where the light comes in, and that I think that's really beautifully portrayed in this. And at the same time, the hallucinations. Let's talk about it. Going through these hallucinations, and we should actually just touch on, if you want to give everyone an overview, so I don't do the spoiler. I don't want to be blamed for the spoiler of anything, but give everyone a short synopsis of the film, because it really is, it's professor who's coming to terms with life, and
Yeah, basically, we have a guy in his sort of late 60s. He's a professor in Montreal. He's, a drinker, and a drug taker, and also a philanderer, and all those things sort of start to crash in on his life. And as that happens, he also starts to hallucinate and have these very, very odd musical numbers. Some of them in just very odd situations. Sometimes set to Cohen music, sometimes not. He sees Frankenstein. He sees
that's the
you know,
best.
yeah,
Seriously,
yeah,
that was funny.
yeah. Strange ice dances during hockey games. There's all kinds of things that happen. And the idea there was, if you lose your mind, or if you're struggling with addiction, that's a very internal thing. And cinema is great for a lot of things, but it's not so great for internal, struggles with a person. So we wanted to take those struggles and bring them outside and make them visual. And also, you know, we wanted, again, I think Cohen does this quite a bit. When things are dark, you want a little bit of joy in there.
Mm.
And the one thing that I think, or I know because I've experienced it, music is perhaps the most joyful art form. So if you're somewhere dark, a lot of times what you do is turn on a song. And we wanted to have those moments of joy in the film, and to do them in a way that was kind of engaging visually and interesting visually, and also fun to do. I mean, we do everything we can in camera. We're a little old fashioned that way. We're not that interested
Oh,
in, listen, the people that did the special effects on the film are amazing. And that we did some very good special effects, but they're also involved in helping us, what's the way we can do this in camera? So like basically when Gabriel's on set, Frankenstein's there with him, and we all
that's
get to
cool.
kind of share that kind of moment and be in that real place as we're doing it. So that's something that we're always trying to the extent we
It's like
can.
doing a play nowadays, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This would be a cool play. I
You never know.
I don't know. I don't know how you could do the ice hockey scenes, but you could. You could, change it up. It would be super cool. What inspired you to write this?
I'm sort of always been interested in the dynamics within the family, as a sort of, because it's sort of the first thing you experience in life, and it is the foundational experience that everyone has. Everyone has a family, or if you don't, the absence of that family is sometimes just as large as the family. So it's something that everyone sort of experiences. And at the time when I was writing the script, I had just gotten divorced. I was a single dad. I'm remarried now, but I was a single dad for 5 or 6 years. When I was young, I wasn't that close with my father. I became close with him later. So I was thinking about that, the relationship between fathers and sons, fathers and daughters, and about situations repeating through generations. And I was also thinking, as we sort of touched on, about addiction and the struggle between reality and sort of fantasy. And these are all kinds of things that Cohen is interested in his music. So as we were that was sort of the inspiration for the film. And I started writing, and I was like, oh yeah, this is like a lot of stuff comes up in Cohen music, and it just sort of had this organic growth from there. So that's sort of the inspiration for the film. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for everyone to be able to just turn it on. It's so great that we do have that now in film is, you can see more movies than you ever could, as much as I love theater. I do love to go to the theater, you know?
Totally. Yeah. No, and we're super excited. Like the film's had this sort of very odd, long life. It came out during COVID and then has been released all around the world. It just sort of, it moved to, it was in Australia, then in Turkey, Russia, Sweden, Taiwan. Which for me was a little frustrating, but it's also kept the movie alive. And then for a variety of reasons, it just took a while for it to come out in the States, but we're super excited that it's finally coming out here and that, people get a chance to see it, and in particular, like to see Gabriel's performance, which I think is really just a wonderful thing to have a look at.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a joy to watch the movie, and I can't wait for my friends to be able to see it and our listeners as well. And best wishes moving on. We can't wait for another film.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I enjoyed our conversation. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio. Keep up with our shows at bigblendradio.com.